The Florida Everglades is a natural region of tropical wetland in southern Florida, comprising a massive 1.5 million acres of biodiverse wildlife, including venomous snakes, alligators, and other dangerous animals. Although it's close to cities like Miami, it's remarkable in its vast remoteness and black darkness that falls on the area during the night. Despite the dangerous conditions that exist, on March 12, 1965, one man ventured into the region for hunting and would be harmed not by an alligator nor a snake, but by a mysterious object. James Flynn of East Fort Myers, Florida, an experienced woodsman, headed deep into the Everglades with his 4 hunting dogs. He had planned to spend several days hunting. On the night of the 14th, his hunting dogs took off after a deer. Later, hearing a sound like a gunshot, Flynn started up his swamp buggy and headed off in search of his dogs. One of his dogs had returned, which he had placed in its crate, and it joined him on his search for the others. Around 1 a.m. on Monday, March 15th, Flynn spotted something unusual that he judged to be slightly over a mile away. Whatever it was hovering, shaped like a broad, upside-down cone, an estimated 200 feet in the air above some cypress trees. After a while, it began flying off toward the northeast, but after 2 to 3 minutes, it returned to the same place and hovered again, this time for around 5 minutes. It then took off to the southwest very quickly. Soon, however, it returned to the same location once again. At this point, Flynn was only about a quarter of a mile away, and the object seemed to come down among some trees. Flynn believed that he was observing a helicopter of some sort initially, but he then began to realize, as he viewed it through a pair of binoculars, that it wasn't a helicopter at all. He described the object as some 25 feet high and twice that in its diameter. Up near the top, there were 4 tiers of 2-foot square-by-square windows that emitted a yellowish glow. The object was metallic and seemed to be made of 4x4 plates that appeared to be held together with rivets. Around the base there was an orange-red illumination that seemed to cast a glow on the ground, some 75 feet around its rim. He suspected that it was a secret craft from Cape Canaveral. Flynn would pass out during this time, and sometime later regain consciousness. He found himself initially blind from the encounter and laid for a long time until he recovered a small amount of vision in his left eye. Around this time, the sun was shining, and it was Tuesday morning. At this point, Flynn decided to round up his dogs and make his way to the home of Henry Osceola, a Seminole Indian who lived in the Everglades swamp. Flynn would return home on Wednesday around noon. Then, he and his wife immediately went to an eye doctor. The eye doctor, named Dr. Paul R. Brown, measured Flynn's vision and found that he was 2800 in his right eye and 2060 in his left eye. he noticed a slight bruise over his right brow. The left eye appeared normal, but in the right eye, he could not see the retina. Not only was his vision affected, but also his hearing. Flynn had significant hearing reduction and numbness in his arms and hands following the encounter. Under careful observation and treatment by Dr. Harvey Stipe, a physician who had known Flynn for 25 years, Flynn was treated, and soon the hearing symptoms would disappear. On March 26, Flynn, Dr. Stipe, and 2 others returned to the encounter site in the Everglades, and there found a burned circle some 72 feet in diameter. The circle looked like it had been swept clean of the leaves, twigs, limbs, and other forest debris. 8 cypress trees were scorched from their tops down to about halfway from the ground. In October 1966, in a phone interview with Arizona physicist James McDonald, Flynn stated that the UFO was probably, he figured, a secret aircraft that we had, and that if he could ever prove it, then someone would have to pay for the good eye he once had. Flynn, who has expressed his frustration with the government for not discussing the event or helping him, has been described as being somewhat of a recluse, not wanting to discuss the encounter. In July 1996, Flynn made a rare public appearance in Port Charlotte, Florida, and stated, "I'm waiting for the day something turns up the truth about this thing. I hope I live that long." It is unknown whether Flynn ever got the real truth about what happened to him that day and what devastated his right eye, as well as caused a variety of health problems. Like so many other victims and abductees, it appears he will probably never know the real story.